Hello, this is lecture video 3 for English 102. For essay 3, you will be writing a conflict essay in which you identify the struggle between opposing forces and how it relates to the plot in the text, The Lives of the Dead by Tim O'Brien. There are different types of conflict, and we will talk about them in just a minute. They are also listed and defined right below where we are talking on the description sheet. The body of the essay should focus and develop 3 different conflicts found in the story, so one per body paragraph. Now, for essay 2, you were allowed to pick whichever type of irony you wanted to do. In this essay, you will have to choose 3 different conflicts to highlight. So you cannot choose 2 person versus person examples, so on and so forth. You must pick different types of conflict for each of the body paragraphs. So 3 different examples. You should develop an argument for how the conflict might better help the reader understand the overall theme or moral of the text, then conclude by evaluating the effectiveness of the conflict and what the reader can learn. All the materials used for the essay should be cited in MLA within the body of the essay with in-text citations and on the works cited page. Again, if you are using the How to Write guide, this will show you where you must use the in-text citations and what the in-text citation should be where you have it. So just make sure that you're following this How to Write guide at all times. There are 4 different kinds of conflict, so obviously you will not use one of these. The first type is person versus person. This is the easiest one to understand and acknowledge. Person versus person is an external conflict that involves a mental or physical struggle between 2 characters in the story. So they have to be people in the story. A person versus person conflict should not be a person versus an animal. Okay, that would be nature. Please make sure you understand that. I have some people that don't understand that. Okay, person versus person has to be 2 humans that are in an argument with each other. Person versus self is an internal conflict that involves the struggle between the character and his or own conscience or self. This is when you ask yourself questions that you may be in conflict. Should I stop at McDonald's and get a large fry? That's an internal conflict I have on a daily basis. But person versus self is a struggle with the character and it themselves. Person versus nature is an external conflict that involves the struggle between the elements of nature that are beyond the character's control. Anything that has to do with weather, that has to do with animals. So if the character is camping and a huge bear comes along, that's definitely a conflict for the person that is beyond their control. Also, some feelings can be person versus nature in the sense that hunger is an element of nature that a person that is obviously beyond your own control. So, if you have questions about a conflict and what type of conflict it may fall in, just give me a shout out and we can talk about it together. The last one, and maybe this may be the hardest one to talk about and prove, is person versus society. And this is an external conflict that involves the struggle between the character and the rules or laws that govern the society in which the character lives. A good example is that obviously in our society, it is not okay to murder someone. However, a person may be justified in murdering someone if it's in the sense of self-preservation, etc. If our country is in war, there will be casualties on the other side because we will be defending our country. However, our society sees murder as a bad thing, so that is definitely a conflict between the person and society because they're having to go against what society deems necessary. Same thing for stealing and other amoral things that people may do, but they have to do in order to survive, make a living, protect their children, etc. The topic for this paper is to analyze the short story The Lives of the Dead by Tim O'Brien to determine the theme of the text through the conflicts, both external and internal. So you must use at least person versus self one time so that you can get that the character faces throughout the story without summarizing it. Your thesis stem, the characters in the short story The Lives of the Dead by Tim O'Brien face conflict, both internal and external, that prove. And remember, this is going to be theme, leads to, or causes, or whatever you want to put in the middle to make all of this run together. And then the universal theme must be present as well. Please make sure that your thesis includes one of the following themes that is found on the How to Write guide. Okay, so we'll talk about how to write the thesis statement in a moment, but your thesis statement must include one of these things. Also remember to write this essay from the reader's perspective, not your own. That means you cannot use any first or second person pronouns. All of this is still true. You have to submit the process work. You cannot use artificial intelligence. You cannot plagiarize. You cannot use different citations. You do have to use my biography that I have posted on Blackboard. You must follow all instructions that's listed on this description sheet, and any errors in citations will be graded. All of these will be graded as an automatic F. Make sure to focus your essay with a strong thesis statement. Essay should show rather than tell. All of your topic sentences, they've been written for you, so make sure, again, you are following the How to Write guide. All of your topic sentences are there for you. All you have to do is copy and paste them into your outline and then finish the sentence. This essay must include at least 2 sources with correlating in-text citations and a works cited page. Those also have been given to you on the How to Write guide, and they show you where they go. The author's biography here, Tim O'Brien, there is the link, and then for that one, you will use the editors of Encyclopedia Britannica in parentheses in the introduction, and then in all of your body paragraphs, you will have a quote from the text and use O'Brien as the in-text citation. Here's your introduction structure and your paragraph structure, but you will see that that same thing is given on the How to Write guide for Essay 3. As long as you are following that, you will be good to go. Reminders, use multiple examples and explanations. If it's a conflict, you have to do certain things. We're going to talk about that in a moment. With number 4 and number 5, you have to make sure, if to prove something, you have to use multiple examples and explanations. That takes more than one sentence. So if you get to your paper and you only have one sentence there, then you already know you've messed up. Arrange the conflicts in a logical manner. That means your body paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 should be in order of how they happen in the story. Each paragraph should highlight the conflict's individualism. Each paragraph, even the introduction and conclusion, must be in 8 to 10 meaningful sentences. Avoid taking a stance or providing examples and explanations that contain opinions. Remember, you are providing analysis with facts and examples from the text. You are not having a conversation with me. You are not asking me questions. You are not giving me your opinion, even in the reader's stance. You are only using the analysis based on the examples from the text. Your complete essay should be written in third-person point of view, and do not write with contractions. Also, some other helpful reminders for the essay. Please, please, please write the full essay in present tense. Do not use past tense verbs when you are writing about or analyzing the story. You are reading the story in present tense in the present time, so you should be talking about the characters doing those things in the present tense. Don't use first or second person pronouns. Think about how and why the character makes the choices they do, not necessarily what they do. Remember, I've already read this story, so I know what they do in the story. I want you to tell me why they do it. Every body paragraph should have at least one quote from the text with a matching in-text citation to the works cited page. In this case, your in-text citation should be O'Brien. Your other citation should be in the introduction, and that should be the editors of Encyclopedia Britannica. All of that in parentheses. Also, you should take care to never use the phrase in conclusion in your paper. I've given, again, essay format. None of that changes. It's the same from essay 1 to 2. You can read over that by yourself. I've also given you a little helpful read through map for you. This is not the map that you will submit on Blackboard. It is a different one. However, if you need just something to jot down some ideas while you're reading the text through the first or second time, here's something that you can do that on. All right, let's look at the how to write sheet. Thesis statement first, okay? Your possible themes for the lives of the dead are morality. I'm sorry, not more. There is morality, but mortality and death, social obligation, storytelling, memory, and shame or guilt. After you have chosen one theme from above, you need to find 3 examples from the text and write them in the boxes on your map. To write your thesis, think generally, what does morality lead to or prove? What does death lead to or prove? Here's my example. If I choose storytelling, I believe good storytelling causes the reader to imagine and feel what the author intends when they are writing. Note, the general outcome should not pertain specifically to the text, just what the theme causes, leads to, or proves. So here's my working thesis based on my thoughts up here. Again, you could not copy this or use my thesis statement. The characters in the short story, The Lives of the Dead by Tim O'Brien, face conflict, both internal and external, that prove a well-formed story causes readers to imagine and deeply feel what the author intends when they are writing. That means that in every number 5, this example also shows how blank storytelling, a well-formed story, leads to readers imagining and deeply feeling what the author intends when they are writing, because now I'm going to prove in number 5, 3 to 5 sentences, how this example that I use in number 3 is an example of storytelling and how it makes the reader imagine and feel what the author intends. That means I have to talk about what the author intends, what the author wanted the reader to feel and or imagine. Whatever you put in for the universal outcome has to be discussed in number 5. I should see this exact sentence, okay, whatever you put here in your thesis statement, in number 5 for each of the body paragraphs. Your introduction structure stays the same. If you've forgotten how to write an introduction, please refer back to the video that's in the Essay 2 module on Blackboard. Your body paragraphs will go just like this. One conflict the characters face in the short story is a person versus, please spell out versus, excuse me, person versus blank conflict when. Then you will finish the example from the story. Make sure you explain it, but do not quote it yet. Then you will provide the background information. This is the same as Essay 1 and Essay 2. Nothing has changed. Number 3 will be the quote from the text. Number 4, this is an example of person versus blank conflict because. Now move away from the examples of the text. You should now write about how and why the example is happening and what it is causing. Okay, so why is the conflict happening and what does the conflict cause? To prove that there is a conflict, right? So we've already established what a conflict is. A conflict is a struggle between opposing forces. That means in each number 4, you have to tell me what this person wants and what this person wants, what each of their wants leads to, and why it's a conflict for them. If it's person versus self, what does person want? What does self want? Why are these two things different? What do these two things that are different, what are they going to lead to? Okay, and why is it a conflict? There are multiple things that you must discuss in proving that a conflict is actually occurring. So make sure that you explain what each side wants, because the want should be different for both of them if they are in conflict. Also, you will want to explain what that conflict for each of them, if person A gets what they want, what will happen? If person B gets what they want, what will happen? Why are these two things opposing? Okay, this should be 3 to 5 sentences here. Number 5 is all about the thesis statement. This example also shows how a well-formed story causes readers to imagine and deeply feel what the author intends when they are writing, because this example highlights what? Okay, so insert your part from the thesis. Obviously, don't use mine. And then prove that this example that you've given in number 3 shows the theme and the universal outcome. This one should also be 3 to 5 sentences. And then you will conclude by restating the topic sentence. All you have to do is copy the first part. One conflict the characters face in the short story is a person versus person conflict, or whichever one you choose. Okay, you don't have to do the when and finish out the sentence. All you have to do is the first part. Okay, but each paragraph must have a conclusion statement on the end. Other than it starting a little bit different for your topic sentence, everything will be the same for body paragraphs 2 and 3 as well. And then don't forget your conclusion. That is on the outline. Okay, so your outline looks a little bit different from last time. It does not have the numbers, but you can easily put the numbers in there if you want to, so that it matches the how to write sheet. Okay, so all you have to do is write what's on the how to write sheet over on your outline. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay. So if I'm looking at the outline against the how to write sheet, all you have to do is put number 1 with number 1, number 2 with number 2, number 3 with number 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and 6, 6. It goes all the same with the outline. Your map is the same way. It has numbers 1, 3, 4, and 5 on it. So conflicts should be in the order as they happen in the text and should not be the same as body paragraph 2 or 3. So again, you have to pick a different type of conflict for each body paragraph. You will summarize the conflict. You will give me the quote from the text from where it happens, and then now you will analyze the example. This is an example of person versus self conflict because. Then you will, for number 5, this example shows how, and then you will put whatever you put here in here, and then finish out the sentence with what you expect to be talking about. Now, this doesn't have to be, your map doesn't have to be exactly the same as what you have on your outline, but your map should give me a good idea about where you're going. As always, please email me if you have any questions. If you are in the in-person class, we can talk and chat during class or after class if you have questions. If you are in an online class, please email me any questions that you have so that we can discuss it through your feedback. Have a great day.